Hello and welcome to another podcast from Odell Technologies. Today we're joined by Pat Kelly, co-founder and CEO for Remagine Labs.
Yeah, hello, my name's Pat Kelly, CEO of Remagine Labs. I've spent most of my career building deep tech products and companies, including one in wireless VR that was acquired by AMD. These days, my focus has shifted from connecting devices to leveraging that connectivity to improve health outcomes. At Remagine Labs, we're developing an electropharmaceutical patch, which is essentially an electronically controlled drug delivery device. We're starting with epilepsy and expanding into other conditions.
Okay, so Pat, what led you to reimagine how anti-seizure medications are delivered, and what unmet need are you addressing for patients with epilepsy?
Originally, Professor Stan Skafidis, who's my co-founder from the University of Melbourne, he and I, some early conversations we had with epilepsy clinicians, Patrick Kwan and Terry O'Brien at Monash University. They brought up the concern about adherence with epilepsy patients. Essentially, what that means is trying to stick on your medications to take 2 pills a day, 3 times a day is very difficult. You miss the pills, that would lead to breakthrough seizures, which had serious impacts to patient health. And they were looking for a way to address that adherence problem. We knew this way, it's called iontophoresis, which essentially leverages electronic means to push drugs through the skin. And we knew that we could build a long-term patch so that you essentially make it super easy for the patients to comply with their medications.
Okay, so can you explain what the seizure patch is and how it transforms the way that anti-seizure drugs, like I think fenfluramine, are administered?
That's right. Fenfluramine is our first target. It's used for the treatment of a rare epilepsy condition, Dravet and LGS. So essentially the way it works is in a normal transdermal patch, think of your nicotine patch, right? It uses passive diffusion to get the drugs across the stratum corneum and through the skin barrier. That works for very few molecules. You need something that's extremely small, extremely mobile. And so that's why you don't see tons of transdermal patches out there. With this technology, we're able to, again, use these electronic means to push charged molecules through the skin. That gives them the force needed to break through the skin barrier, and ultimately makes it possible for many more drugs to be supported transdermally. We presented at the International Epilepsy Congress I think it was August of 2025, and what we showed is a 40 times increase in the amount of drug that went through the skin using our technology over passive, more traditional means.
Okay, so most epilepsy drugs are taken orally. Why is that a problem, and how does transdermal approach solve these problems?
Yeah. So I already mentioned the adherence issue, right? So that's like the one of the initial problems, having to, take the medications multiple times a day. There's a couple of other things that we help, to alleviate as well. Since, pills are taken one at a time, maybe again once or twice or 3 times a day, what happens in your bloodstream is you'll get an initial peak of the drug in your bloodstream, and that'll slowly whittle away until you take your next pill, and then it peaks up again. So essentially, you get this kind of seesaw effect of increase, lower, increase. And so the clinician is having to essentially balance. You don't want the lows to be too low, so you're not protected. You don't want the highs to be too high so that you get additional side effects from the medication. The beauty of a transdermal solution like we brought forward is you even that all out. It's kind of like having an infusion system. Think of an IV going straight in your bloodstream. So we're able to really smooth out those blood highs and lows with our solution.
Okay, so the patches, it's electronically controlled. Now, What does that mean in practice, and how does it change what's possible for drug delivery?
Yeah, so there's a kind of an immediate change, and then there's like really some interesting long-term possibilities. So the way it works is the electronics are Bluetooth connected. So you can imagine having a smartphone that configures the patch. It also sets the dosage, which is all going to be clinician directed. And then once it's done that, it can automatically push through the drug through the skin, like we've already mentioned. But then what really gets interesting is that once you have this electronic control, you can adapt the medication in much more interesting ways than is done with pills. We've had, folks talk to us about, let's say, you're more prone to having side effects during the day. You can actually lower the dosage slightly during the day, make sure folks don't fall asleep, make sure they can still go about their daily lives. Then at night, when maybe you're more susceptible to a seizure, you can actually increase the dosage because, hey, if you get a little drowsy, maybe that's an added benefit, right? So you can do like much more interesting things once you get control over the medication and how it's delivered.
Okay, so your data shows a 39-fold improvement, I think, in drug flux compared to passive delivery that you've just discussed. What's behind the level of performance?
So yeah, again, it comes back to the electronic force that we're applying. Essentially, what happens is you can imagine a charged, having a charged molecule within our formulation. When you apply an electric field to it, that pushes the drug in basically in the direction that you want it to go. And that force, it's almost like having a plunger, but instead of using mechanical force, you're using electronic force, and that's what helps push the drugs through the skin. Otherwise, what you're depending on is it's called passive diffusion. So it's essentially you've got more drug above the skin, you got less drug in the skin, and you're just kind of expecting it to, naturally flow through without any force at all, right? So that's
Okay.
really where the enhancement comes from.
So, Pat, you started with fenfluramine, and how does the first program help validate the broader platform?
Yeah, so what we're doing, so we've already done all of our in vitro and preclinical work. What we're moving to this year is into phase 1, where we're going to take the fenfluramine patch and actually start applying it to humans, healthy volunteers. And what's going to be critical there is in addition to comparing the blood levels and showing that we're equivalent to the oral dosage, we're also going to show, most importantly, that the patch is comfortable, it doesn't irritate, that sort of thing. So our focus is not only on effective delivery of the medication, but making sure that it's safe and tolerable to the patients as well.
Speaking of safety features and real-time monitoring, how do those differentiate from traditional transdermal patches or smart drug delivery systems?
Yeah. So I'll start with the patches because I think that's also very interesting. In a standard transdermal patch, again, think of that nicotine patch that's on your arm. If it starts to peel off or if it comes off, and it's under your clothes or whatever, you have no idea, right? So with our solution, we have sensing within the patch that we know that the drug is being delivered. We know whether there are changes in what's called the impedance profile that can tell us, it's starting to peel off. Let's alert the patient and then they can go actually take some action. So there's a lot of interesting features from both knowing that the drug is being delivered and those same sensing mechanisms can prevent us from doing things like, concentrating the current into such a small area that it might cause a burn or it might cause a scarring or something like that.
Okay. So what does the patient experience look like? I mean, how long can the patch be worn and what kind of usability feedbacks are you designing?
Yeah, so what we've already shown is multi-day, where our ultimate goal is to get to a 7-day patch. And the patient experience, in our view, should be as simple as possible. So our, you know, we're bringing a lot from other wearables and what's worked and what hasn't worked there. So our device, it's very simple. You pull it out of the packaging, you pull off the liner that protects the drug side, you apply it to the skin, and then you use your phone to activate it. And then once it's activated, all the settings are already going to be in the phone. It's going to automatically download the program, make sure the firmware is up to date, set the dosage. The patient isn't going to have to know any of that, right? So it's that simple, and then you're off into the races. So.
Okay, so beyond epilepsy, where else do you see this being used?
Yeah, our focus as a company is in CNS more broadly. So you can think of anything from mental health, behavioral medications to movement disorders. We've got a lot of interest in things like Parkinson's. Can we do something there? But yeah, it really, as the further we go into this, and the more we show the proof that the solution's been working, the more folks are coming to us and say, can you do it for this molecule or that molecule?
Yeah, sure. And you're planning your first in human trials in 2026. What are the key goals for the study?
Yeah, so I kind of come back to what I talked about earlier, which is essentially there's two major goals. The number one is we want to show that we are bioequivalent to the oral medication. And so what that means is that at the standard prescribed dosage, you can give patients the oral medication, and then we come back around and we do it with the patch, and we show that within some statistical range, we are equivalent. As we're doing that, we're also going to be collecting data on skin irritation, tolerability, any instances of pain or discomfort. And so that'll be kind of the second arm of what we're testing for.
Okay, so tell me, if in 5 years from now, what does success look like?
Yeah, so we got some very interesting programs that we believe this will actually be in the market. It may or may not be fenfluramine, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of other things that we're looking at that we think, again, because we're not inventing new molecules here,
No.
right, which takes a lot longer to get to the market. We believe this can be pushed through the regulatory agencies very quickly.
All right, fantastic. And how many in the company right now?
Yeah, so the company, maybe something I can mention about the
Yeah.
background is that the company really got going through a Australia government grant. It's basically a $3 million, what's called a CRCP grant. And that's a partnership grant that included the University of Melbourne, Monash University, and AK Clinical Research, which is a local CRO. And if you look at that partnership, we're on the order of 20 people.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, please. And from the University of Melbourne, yes?
The partnership includes University of Melbourne, Monash University, and AK
Yes.
Clinical Research. But this did all start with a collaboration between myself and Professor Stan Skafidas at the University of Melbourne, with frankly a tremendous amount of support from the university research commercialization office, who gave us, just like I said, tons of support along the way. We wouldn't be here without them for sure.
Absolutely. Well, if I have to ask you to wrap up, what would you say to people about what you're doing?
Um, so yeah, what we're really excited about in 2026 is this phase one clinical trial. This is really going to be the proof point once you start putting it, on actual humans, that not only does the device work, but it's also tolerable. And what I have personally seen in this, startup journey is this, the potential of this device and the potential of electronically controllable drug delivery has only gotten more and more interesting the further we've gotten into it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I think you're a bit of a game changer and potentially a unicorn. I wish you all the very best for the future, and thank you for your time today.
All right. Thank you very much, Stephen. I really appreciate it.